Hello everybody and welcome back to what is the dark abyss of Mike's asshole of a mouth. Let's all join in this as we submit to his cult and let him jizz on our fucking faces. Also, please say hello to my co-host Natalie.
Let's look at the fail that is In Plain Sight Part 3.
Thank you for that, Natalie.
File segment? Okay, what the fuck? File segment? What are you, some FBI agent? Gavin Arvizo, what you may not know. What we do know, actually, we do research, unlike you. You source gossip bloggers and, bullshit.
Without further ado, let me eat my dinner while watching this pile of vomited shit.
Hey, I think your phone went off.
That cultist fucking music.
I mean, what the fuck is up with the music? I already criticized your crappy music. Sounds like something out of an 80s arcade game.
Good evening.
Fucking finally.
My name is Mike, and
I fucking know already.
Facebook page that's in support of Wade Robson. Wade Robson is actually the latest accuser of Michael Jackson claiming child sexual abuse.
We didn't know that.
And the Facebook page can be found at facebook.com/Wade Robson.
Because nobody visits it.
This is a series I'm doing called In Plain Sight, DMJ Files.
Good for you.
And what this particular series is doing is taking a piece by piece.
Crap by crap format. I mean, this is like, you have shitty video editing skills, and the ideas you come up with aren't even creative. I mean, this is like, if this is an homage to Alfred Hitchcock, I mean, somebody shoot me. I mean, God, even M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong's a better director and creative than you are.
No, what it's fucking doing is pissing off the entire universe because of all the shit that spews out of your fucking mouth, you idiot.
God, you're like a stalker. All you do is hate on other people. And what I mean by that, maybe that's being a little too vague, even though hate is already a strong word. Slander, stalk, threaten, along with your little buddy. What's his name? Oh yeah, Alfonso. We just saw a Facebook photo of him. Oh no, it was from Twitter. Hideous, just like you.
Different sort of people that were involved in the allegations against Michael Jackson, sort of some of the facts and some of the, and maybe...
You're not a fucking detective and nothing you say is a goddamn fact. You're a stupid motherfucker and you don't have a clue what you're fucking talking about.
Show me the facts already. I don't want to listen to your little bullshit mouth.
Misinformation in the some of the allegations against Michael Jackson. So I give you somewhat of my opinion and take on the whole situation.
We go from the word fact to opinion in a matter of 8 seconds. Are you capable of thinking at all? You can't even construct a goddamn sentence. By the way, I do thank you for taking my advice, though. I see you're talking a lot faster now, more confident, less ums, a lot, yeah, all that. You're just talking better. You know, it's nice that you watch my videos.
It's also going to give you other people's opinions, and I'm going to try to again do this in a sort of little small...
To all the people watching this video and my video, what's more credible, this bastard's opinion or my facts?
Segment at a time to cover basically one subject and then slowly move on. Tonight, actually, this is going to be a continuation of the second installment, which dealt with Gavin Arvizo. This is Gavin Arvizo here with Michael Jackson. I'll just hold this over if I can.
This son of a bitch is so far down the rabbit hole, he can't even come up with new content. The third installment, and he already has to do continuations. What a pathetic bitch. Let me crumple around my papers.
This particular photo was actually taken in a Martin Bashir interview that was done with Michael Jackson. And in this particular segment, you can see Gavin with his head on Michael Jackson's shoulder. And actually, the picture doesn't show.
That's so funny that you use the same picture. You can't even reprint it, for fuck's sakes.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're using the same photo from your last video? What, are you really that broke you can't even print one piece of paper? I guess you spent all your money buying those likes, or those fake likes on Facebook. That's just sad.
But he's actually holding Michael Jackson's hand in that particular segment. Many people were actually very disturbed by that.
Hell are you talking about? No fan cared about that. And at the time, Michael was still the most famous person in the world. If a lot of people were alarmed by it, then that means Michael would have lost a bunch of fans before the trial started. So yeah, another fail.
So it's disturbing to hold someone's hand? Okay, first off, Michael wasn't the one who suggested holding his hand. Martin Bashir was, and we all know why. He heavily edited the film to make Michael look like a weirdo. God, you freaking moron.
And a psychiatrist was actually so disturbed that she called social services in LA and filed complaints, and that's...
It wasn't a psychiatrist, it was a school official. She was concerned that he was being abused by Jackson and Janet Arvizo. And Janet Arvizo and the family insisted that they weren't abused, and the case was closed. Insisted.
How that sort of whole ball started rolling.
Ball started rolling?
Tonight we're going to be dealing with Gavin, but we're also going to be dealing with the sort of things you haven't heard about Gavin.
Same bullshit we've been hearing all these years.
Followed the trial, followed Michael Jackson.
Gavin Arvizo. Hold on, let me read this. Gavin Arvizo, what you haven't heard? Yes, Mike, I know how to read. Just say the damn words, okay? This isn't Sesame Street. And Sesame Street's more intelligent than you are.
But tonight we're going to be dealing with Gavin, but we're also going to be dealing with the sort of things you haven't heard about Gavin. So people have followed the trial.
Yeah. I'm sure if you dig deep enough through all the shit in your asshole, I'm sure you'll pull out a turd that nobody's heard about before.
Trial and followed Michael Jackson. We all know that he was an accuser of Michael Jackson, and that he was a cancer patient, and sort of Michael Jackson actually got to know him in the hospital and got...
Stop fucking saying that Michael's like targeting people who are sick and have cancer. He didn't take them because they had cancer and they were there for vulnerable and weak. They just so happened to be a lot of sick kids because that's who he wanted to help, or sick kids who had an underprivileged life. I guess the concept of helping others is completely foreign to you, but that's what he was doing.
And actually went on his own to actually meet Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson actually, with his sort of influence and care, actually and helped Gavin in many ways get through his cancer. But he's also Michael Jackson of child molestation, which I do believe. And I said
cool. I really don't care.
I believe it. I believe it. So should you, because I'm Mike and I'm always right.
Before, and I'll say it again, one act of kindness does not wipe away one act of destruction, and never.
That's right, Mike. That's right, Mike. The fact that you go around slandering, insulting, threatening, abusing, harassing, stalking fans is not erased just because you call yourself an activist. You may think that you've changed now by deleting all that shit off your page and got afraid of me and toned down everything and stopped replying to people and stopped harassing people, stalking them, threatening them, etc. All because I basically forced you to and scared the living fuck out of you. But just because you erased everything and all evidence that you ever did that to begin with, even though that's a dumb move because we have screenshots of it still existing, but just because you attempted to change yourself does not erase all the horrible things you did.
Well, but in this particular, again, segment, when we talk about things maybe you haven't heard, or things you have heard that maybe were somewhat misinterpreted or sort of put a slant to it that...
The things you heard must have had a slant to it. So let me make a fucking 90-degree hill out of it.
Maybe you should hear about. When Gavin actually made the sort of claims he was molested, a lot of people thought that it was during this time frame when the interview was taking place and beforehand, where Michael Jackson actually did the molestation.
You spelled molested wrong. Molested spelled with one L. You know, I think you'd know how to spell that word since you're supporting an alleged rape victim.
But what a lot of people don't realize is actually the hybrid molestation really occurred after the Bashir interview.
Actually, no, they said it happened before the interview, and during the interview they kept changing their story, so you're wrong again.
And what happened was the Bashir interview sort of went out. There was a lot of negative, very quickly negative
Yeah,
press.
thanks to Martin
They wanted to
Bashir
get
deceiving and manipulating.
Arvizo family out of the picture, so they sort of sent him away and put him up in a hotel.
He didn't put them away. Yeah, they went on vacation a few times, and during one time they went to Brazil, where Janet Arvizo claimed that they were being kidnapped and they were sent there so they couldn't testify or anything like that. But if that were true, then how come they got a two-way ticket, meaning they could go to the country, Brazil, and back to the United States? That really makes no sense.
And it was during that time frame.
Oh, and also, they wanted to buy an apartment there. Of course, MJ had to pay for it. They wanted to buy an apartment so that they'd be away from the media. So again, liars.
And it was during that time frame where Gavin said the molestation actually happened. And a lot of people believe, and especially in the prosecution side, that for Michael Jackson it was actually a perfect time for that to happen, because he had just gone on national TV, Gavin had, with Michael Jackson claiming nothing had happened. So in many ways, he could show that video and say, well, see, he said nothing happened, and that was a sort of perfect sort of opportunity for Michael Jackson at that point. The other thing that Gavin gets blamed a lot for is sort of his...
God, you stupid little frickin' cunt.
And not in any which way denying that his mother did have some run-ins with the law, and she actually...
The reason he doesn't get blamed for it, Janet Arvizo was really the one who was fighting in the trial. She pushed for this to happen. But the reason he's brought into it is because, well, his mother brought him into it when she was robbing JCPenney and later claimed molestation against them. She was pretty much, telling them, okay, this is what you want, this is what I want you to say. She was, they were her little actors, and they were involved in the case.
You don't show any fucking proof. And nobody knows this but you, so you're a better detective than fucking Tom Sneddon, fucking Thomas Mesereau, just everybody. You're the fucking king. Okay, whatever.
Mother's past. And not in any which way denying that his mother did have some run-ins with the law, and she actually had some sort of fraud cases, one from JCPenney that always gets talked about, and...
Exactly! Janet has a history of fraud. God fucking damn it.
So with welfare fraud and things of that sort. But also to point out that his family was not very, very well off. And
no! His family wasn't well off. Wow, I never fucking knew that! I just broke the camera. I never fucking knew that. I'm so fucking glad you beat that into my skull, shithead.
God.
They were sort of struggling to get by. And
yeah,
do I even...
That's because they didn't work. Instead, they just robbed people.
His family wasn't well off. Well, as Mesereau said, why work when you can sue Michael Jackson, you cock?
They were sort of struggling to get by. And in no way do I even condone fraud of any sort. But in that situation...
You are a fraud yourself. Good lord, is your last name fucking Sneddon? Maybe Parr isn't your last name.
You can look at it, and especially if you're a mother trying to, take care of your children.
Take care of your...
Yeah, if you're a mother trying to take care of your kid, just claim molestation against someone. That always works.
Children.
It's a real insult to people who actually do get raped.
But again, I can't excuse it.
You are excusing it, though.
I can't excuse it. But I also don't think Gavin should be blamed for it. And a lot of people, I think, do.
What the fuck is... have you ever communicated with a fan who has intelligence, ever? Most fans blame Janet. And Sneddon.
Sort of lump him in with his mother's indiscretions and, say, well, his mother is sort of, from the wrong side of the track, so that must mean Gavin is. And in actuality,
No! She manipulated her son and got Sneddon to help. Fucking read Aphrodite Jones' book, you fucker.
Gavin is now. He isn't. He was offered 6 figures, I'm sure, many times. Actually, his lawyer talked about this in a video, which I'll put a link up to, and which he actually stated that, after the trial, and even I'm sure even to this day, he's been given offers to talk about what happened at Neverland and what he obviously feels like an adult, what he thinks about what's going on. And I'm sure now with the Wade Robson trial, I'm sure he's going to have to do even more for interviews and things like that. But he has not taken a penny. For people that are so dead, sort of certain that Wade is guilty.
So, let me get this straight. In your mind, Wade speaking on what happened makes him innocent, and Gavin not speaking on what happened makes him innocent as well. You are just so fucking crazy. You make me, you're so fucking dumb. I need to check my heart, because this fucking bastard is driving me fucking crazy. I need to check my heart. I think my heart's like beating beyond belief right now. Holy mother of fuck. I need a break.
An accuser that has never sought monetary damages. And his mother, who again, a lot of people would say that she has made many, many mistakes in her life. After the trial,
you're excusing that? You're like, oh, she robbed JCPenney. That's okay. It's all right.
That she would not, seek money from Michael Jackson. That she would not take the devil's money, as she put it. And I need to stress, in a civil trial, the burden of proof is a lot less than it is.
Okay, Wade could have just came out with these claims without monetary damages, as you call it. He could have just went out, said, okay, I was molested, I want to help people, but when you're asking for money, that's like the message becomes tainted, as what was her name, Sherri Shepherd put it. And why would you want money? It just goes back in the whole issue with Wade. Why wait now that 4 years after he's dead and the estate has grown to about $1 billion? I mean, it was in debt $500 million in 2009. Of course, Wade's not going to say anything. He wasn't going to get any money, and he was getting some jobs back then.
In a civil trial, the burden of proof is a lot less than it is in a criminal trial. That's why, if you look at the O.J. trial, O.J. was found innocent in a criminal trial, but actually found guilty in a civil trial. And it's just because the burden of proof is different. And they could have probably, and I'm sure they were actually sort of ordered to do civil trials. And the reality is, if you do a civil trial, especially of that magnitude, there's really nothing to lose. And it's
nothing you're saying has any relevance. Like, there's nothing to refute here. It has no relevance to what happened. You're just talking about, like, what happens in a civil trial compared to a criminal one. Fuck, who cares? It has nothing to do with the facts. Nothing.
And so, who's going to pay the bills to...
The fact of the matter is, okay, it's simple. Albert Einstein always said, if you take a long time to explain yourself, you're an idiot. Okay? You're taking a long time to explain nothing. I can explain this in 2 seconds. Janet has a history of fraud. She sued for money because she wasn't well off. End of fucking story.
With a civil trial, usually it's a situation where it's, if you actually win the trial, then there's payment done to the lawyers, but if you lose, there's nothing. It's usually done on contingency. But again, he has never taken any money, even up to this day. He's also never given an interview, even for free, about MJ or the case.
Why would someone who was manipulated into lying about the most famous man in the world want to come out in front of anyone and talk about their story unless they're going to come out and say, yes, I lied? He's probably afraid. You're right. A lot of fans will be pissed off. But usually lying does piss people off, so it's just natural anyway.
According to his lawyer, Ron Zolan, he actually is very happy putting it behind him. And that says a lot. Again, if you're going to sort of lump him in and say, well, this is a family that came from the wrong side of the tracks, and this is a family that sort of, didn't know right from wrong, and et cetera, then you would assume that that person would be just going after.
Janet didn't know right from wrong. That's why she has a history of fraud, not just one-time fraud. She doesn't learn, therefore she has no sense of right from wrong. Kind of like you. Because if you did, you wouldn't just be taking the advice I've given you in all my videos and changed up the way you talk and speak and act and stuff. You would at least come out like the man you are and at least admit the things you've done. This is why I'm not leaving you alone. You may have changed some things, but you haven't admitted shit. Be a man, you fucking prick.
This, it's full scheme ahead sort of thing. If money was the only motivation. And to be honest with you, if he did actually go for a monetary sort of lawsuit, I wouldn't hold it against him. I think it's being a victim of abuse myself. However someone gets their legal vindication is their own business. And if somebody wants to go and use a civil litigation process, then great. That's their decision. Someone else's decision.
I find it really interesting that everyone who's genuine wants to beat the living fuck out of their abuser, but people like you and Wade and Chandler and Arviza just want money. Just want cash and cash and cash and cash. But every trial I've ever seen in my entire life, or any person I realize that I've spoken to who is an abuse victim themselves, always says, I want to beat the shit out of my abuser. I want to hurt them. I want them to feel the same pain they did to me. They never say a word about money. You're right, it is their choice. But it's just odd that the liars seem to want the money and the genuine people just want to hurt the people that hurt them because they want them to feel the same pain. Getting money is not how you get even. It just isn't. Get over it.
Especially the people that are criticizing Wade for going for monetary compensation. What amazes me, there's very little being said about their loss, the Jackson's family's lawsuit for wrongful death against AEG, and that's essentially for...
Are you fucking dumb? If you knew anything, you would know that the majority of fans, including myself, are against what Catherine's doing. Yes, I hope she wins. I hope she fucking destroys AEG. But I'm against her doing this. I think it's very wrong to get money for what happened to her son. She's upset, very upset, and she wants revenge. But money's not the way to do it, especially for a sum of $40 billion. I think what she's doing is very bad. I never supported Catherine for that. And most fans don't either. If you actually communicated with a fucking fan and heard our side of the story, you Mr. Black and White over here, you'd know that. God. Play. Did I break YouTube?
They're looking for about $1 billion in damages. And that's not going to bring Michael Jackson back.
I'm sorry, that statement was so stupid. I have no words. Okay. About $1 billion, that won't bring Michael Jackson back. Okay. The first problem lies in the fact that it's 40, not 1 billion. And the second issue lies in the fact that you're saying she shouldn't sue because it's not going to bring Michael back, when suing Michael or his family for molestation is not going to make your molestation disappear. But it's okay for Wade. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize, Lord Parr.
I haven't heard anyone saying that if they won the case, they would be giving it charity. So if you're going to sort of hold weight up to that, you might also want to think about holding the Jackson family up to that same sort of measuring.
We are. If you watch a single fan's videos, opinions, comments, anything, if you read one fucking comment from any fan, you'd know that. I made 2 videos about this, but of course you wouldn't watch them because it proves every fucking thing you're saying to be idiotic.
So, the other thing is, according to Ron Zolan, and when Gavin was actually in college, he had a 3.6 grade average and was doing very, very well, and even looking to get his master's. Again, what this points to is somebody that is trying to better themselves, and somebody that, if they were truly, as a lot of people paint, especially a lot of MJ fanatics that have wished death on this person and have called him every name you can think of, and has made this person out to be the sort of lowest of the low. This person's actually doing very, very well and pursuing the future.
I'm not even going to explain the Janet thing again. You're just such a fucking idiot. It's unbelievable.
So again, this is something that gets lost in the shadows because people just look at this.
Yes, because molestation and someone's grade point average in school are so connected.
Look at what
I could wrap your fucking dick around your throat and it'd still be less connected than this shit. Play, you fucker.
And was at that particular point with his family and assume that, well, that's who he is, and just sum it up and sort of write it off. He's also very actively involved in his church, which, again, what it tells me is that somebody who has a sort of solid base and somebody that is, looking to do the right thing, and churches, especially having a solid faith, is very...
A lot of people are going to be against what I'm about to say, but the majority of religious people are very hypocritical and are genuinely very, very bad people. This is just a statistic that's proven all around the world, is that religious people tend to be very, very bad people. They tend to be very big backstabbers and basically think they can get away with anything they want because they can just ask for forgiveness from the Lord. But it is a statistic that religious people tend to be very bad people. I know I actually have a lot of friends who are religious themselves, and a lot of people are going to hate this comment, but statistics don't lie, I'm sorry. Whether if I offend Mike or any of my friends, this is Matt's FTR and I'm an honest person. Religious people are bad, the majority of them, so it kind of goes against you. I apologize for any of my friends who take offense, but again, you joined Matt's FTR for the truth, so...
important. And that gives somebody that sort of that belief system in a higher entity is something that I think in a lot of ways will center people. And he's also very active with his church, his community. Again,
not that I agree, but if you want to put positiveness on religious people, then why aren't you happy about Michael? Michael was religious as well. Granted, my opinions on religion are based on the fact that I've never once met a single religious person who actually follows what they believe. I don't know if Michael did or not. Michael seemed to, as we all know, Michael seemed to be very genuine, and a lot of the words and his actions prove that he actually is one of the very few people who followed what he believed in. But most religious people I see do not follow what they believe in at all. But anyway.
Somebody that you would not think, from what you hear about him from MJ fans and fanatics.
Fanatics, fuck you, man. You're a fanatic. You probably have wet dreams over Wade Robson.
Sort of these sort of, I don't even know what to call them at this point. You would think
very intelligent people like you are not. What do you mean you don't know what to call us by this point? We're just people who are defending an innocent man. Why do you overcomplicate things, you stupid fucking... I get whatever.
think that if this was the case, he wouldn't be doing this. Again, so many fanatics have demonized this man, but do they really know him?
Hey, you demonize all of us. You demonize people of our group, and you don't even know us. So shut your mouth. You really have no place to talk.
No, I don't really know him.
You don't know him. Your facts are all wrong. Either that, or they're just manipulated in a biased way.
But I'm going to listen to some people that do know him.
Ron Zolan actually keeps in touch with Gavin, and I think Ron Zolan, in a lot of ways, since the case really, has felt that,
I like how you try and keep in such close contact with people who know Gavin, but yet you won't keep in close contact with people who knew MJ. Have you ever read Frank Cassio's book? Do you know who Frank Cassio is? Frank Cassio is one of Michael Jackson's closest... Actually, he is Michael Jackson's closest friend. He was basically Michael's secret friend since Frank was a baby. They met at a very young age. Obviously, Frank was like a baby and Michael was already in his 20s. But they were incredibly close right up until Michael Jackson's death. He's a very unknown man because Michael kept him in secret. Heavy secret, but they were incredibly close. I don't know the reasons why Michael kept him secret. I do have Frank's book. I haven't actually finished it yet. If you want to find that kind of funny, but from what I've read, it's basically a book where Frank tells his deepest secrets and friendship about Michael because he knew Michael in detail for such a long time that basically, simply put, nobody knew Michael as well as Frank except for maybe Catherine. And Frank had basically nothing to say but good about MJ. I mean, Michael had his flaws, of course, like we all do, but he humanized Michael. He said the good and the bad, and none of it involved pedophilia.
I think Ron Zolan, in a lot of ways, since the case...
Zolan? It's Ron Zonin. God, you don't even know the name of the guy who defended Gavin?
Really has felt that...
Further proof of your low intelligence.
And wanted to sort of keep that connection and see that, Gavin had some sort of mentor that you could talk to and maybe look...
Yeah, his mentor was his mom, who taught him how to lie and steal and cheat.
Up to. And,
Oh, let's read this. If I can even read it, your camera's so shitty. So many MJ fanatics demonize... But do they really know him? Yes, we do know him. We do our research because we want to know the truth. We don't try and cherry pick the facts that don't even support it. And again, you have incorrect grammar. What, did you just randomly, touch the cap locks or the shift button while you were typing? You even spelled demonizing wrong. I take it you don't go to school, so like you were saying earlier, if you don't go to school, then that automatically means you're guilty, so from your twisted logic, that means you're guilty.
He has a very strong connection, and he wanted to sort of keep that connection and see that, Gavin had some sort of mentor that he could talk to and maybe look up to. And, again, we don't know him. We know him from here, but we don't know what's going on today. And I hope this particular little video I did just give you an idea of
your idiocy.
That you can't always sum up somebody by just looking at, their family sort of heritage and assume that you sort of know exactly where that person's going. In this case, it's actually quite different than even I would have assumed.
What do you mean even you would have assumed, as if you don't assume all the time anyway? Your entire channel and page and videos is nothing but assumptions. That's all you do is assume.
I want to thank you for watching this installment of In Plain Sight.
Thank you for wasting 14 minutes and 51 seconds of my life, and thank you for wasting those 3 pieces of paper.
You're not welcome.
The MJ Files, and there will be more to come.
Oh God.
And again, I urge people to go to facebook.com/Wade Robson Supporters.
Wade Robson Supporters, aka the KKK.
And show your support for Wade. And also, again, part of that, if you look at the site, it'll actually say other victims of MJ. and that is past and possibly even future. And you know, it's my belief is that if we can support Wade, in many ways, we are supporting
sort of the path.
Yeah, if you call hating, hacking, slandering, threatening, and stalking other people support, then yes, I guess you are, but in reality, you're not.
Sort of the past and the future that may come, and showing that, you know, we're not going to be silenced and we will actually be heard. So again, I thank you, and you have a very, very good evening. Bye-bye now.
You have a very, very bad evening. I hope you have a fucking horrendous evening. I hope you get hit by a goddamn truck. And why is your video still going on for like 30 seconds? It looks like you're jacking off. Your arm is like 14:21, and there's literally
What are you
nothing.
doing just sitting there for? What the fuck, okay?
Your hands are moving. There's no sound. What is going on?
Are you still talking? I
What
can't
the
hear it.
fuck
Did
am
you
I
turn off
watching?
the
I have
audio?
15
What the
seconds left.
fuck, dude? Okay.